Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to FrankieSense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin now.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
Hello there, and welcome to FrankieSense and More. It is so great to have you join us today. I am really excited for us because I have two amazing ladies. Both are going to change your lives, but in different ways. But first, I want to tell you a little story. I was asked to do a book review this morning for a book which hasn't launched yet, so I'm not going to mention the name. But as I went through the chapters, the author introduced me to so many great people that made a difference in her life that as I drilled down into their profiles, because I had to look them up right away, I came up with some even greater people that influenced those folks, and so on and so on. Well, the more I learned, the more excited I got, because it all just affirmed what Debra and Violet will be showing us today. And what I said from the very beginning of this show, there are wonderful people in this world who have so much to share with us. People who care about you and I, people who want to make our lives better. And as your life gets better, hopefully that's a gift that you're able to pass on to others. Well, as you know, this show is aligned with the United Nations Global Goals. And today I want to align with goal number 5, gender equality. Did you know that educating girls can break cycles of poverty in just one generation? Yet, millions of girls aren't in school. Well, Girl Rising uses storytelling to inspire action that gets girls into the classroom worldwide. So please check it out at www.globalgoals.org. And while you're there, have a look at some of the other 17 goals. Well, one of the amazing people that I met through the book, but wasn't in the book, started a blog. His name is Brother David Steindl-Rast. Now, Brother David created the Gratefulness blog. And over at www.gratefulness.org, Brother David, a fellow Austrian like myself, he was born in 1926. And that's so cool because that's the same year that my dad was born in Austria. So he says that the one thing all humans have in common is that each of us wants to be happy. And happiness, he suggests, is born from gratitude. So he created and posted a video called Gratefulness titled A Good Day. And it's such a gift, I just had to share it with you on the Good Radio Network blog at www.thegoodradionetwork.com. So please view it today. It might change your life, and if not your life, it's certainly going to change your day. Now, I want to say that I have the Real Housewives on. But I don't. I have the Real Ladies of Colorado. Both these girls live in Colorado. Debra Silverman and Violet Alexandre are two special ladies. And Violet, while I'm going to introduce you to Debra first, I want you to feel free to ask questions, and vice versa, Debra, when we're chatting with Violet. So I'm pretty excited about all of this. The two girls from Boulder. You may already know or have heard of Debra Silverman. She's earned international fame, written a book, numerous articles, hosted a radio show, and her YouTube channel has over 3 million views. But on the off chance that you haven't heard of her, it's okay, because after this show you will. She's very funny, hilarious in fact, and her interpretations of each horoscope sign is worth the price of admission, if there was one, but there's not. So go to her website, www.debrasilvermanastrology.com, and check out her video interpretations. Guaranteed you will recognize yourself, but don't do it right now, because I'm in the middle of my show, and I want you here. So stick around. She is part comedian, astrologer, clinical psychologist who has very successfully combined her passions for each and created a private practice that has been around for 38 plus years. Debra uses astrology and her own system called the 4 Elements, or 4E for short, as tools to help people step into their power. Now, she's dedicated to creating community and working for children, and as she believes that the future is arriving and none of us can do it alone. So true. So while she's an expert in embracing the feminine, Debra's ultimate dream is to revolutionize therapy by teaching therapists how to provide custom treatment to their clients. Now, there's something else that she's interested in doing, because she is interested in teaching us all about astrology, because she's created an astrology certification program. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm doing really well, and this is so funny. The door just knocked. I'm not going to answer it. It's just a symbol. The door is knocking. Everybody's everywhere.
Opportunities everywhere.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you. I'm really, really happy to have you on the show. And if you haven't met Violet Alexandre yet, meet Violet. You're both from Boulder. If you weren't here at the beginning, I wasn't sure if you were going to get on. And I think that's really exciting because there's two entrepreneurial women, both now living in the same space and creating, things that are make the world a better place. So I absolutely love that. Now, you've been studying astrology for something like 40 years, I think. And I believe you're a Gemini. So how come you haven't got bored with it?
You're talking why I'm not bored with astrology?
Yeah.
Every single session is different. The fascination is that people have such stories, and my theory is the reason why God made us is because she loves stories. So you get to hear every story. The name of my radio show is Tell Me a Story. And there's nothing to get bored with. I mean, there's just a constant array of different versions of how people cope with this crazy reality. We live in this really strange world that we all pretend is normal, but there's absolutely nothing about this place that's normal. So my gift is making crazy normal.
And you do it so well.
And letting people understand why they are the way they are. So that's really what makes it fast. It's never, ever boring. I don't think I've ever been bored since I started my practice 38 years ago. I don't even know if bored is. I think bored is when you're sleeping. I don't know how to get bored. I mean, that's a funny word to ask a Gemini. It's only when things get repetitive. I think what boredom is predictability, and then mundane, and then the dishes, and then going shopping, and then having to deal with your taxes, and that's boring. But people, God, they're so interesting.
Violet, what sign are you?
Capricorn.
Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind as we go through.
I love Capricorn.
Pretty different than Gemini, I think.
Yeah, in my next life I already ordered. I'm coming in as a Capricorn.
That's funny.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah, because I just find, especially Capricorn women, they say what they mean what they say. There's no vagueness. They have great bodies. They're super strong. I'd love to know, Victoria, if that's true for you. They follow through. There's no vague. I love the quality of precision and expression. I mean, maybe people think they're boring compared to Geminis who talk all the time, but they certainly have a gift of manifestation with quality. Would that be true for you?
Actually, it's interesting. I've never heard it described that way. And as Frankie was introducing you, I thought I have to go watch your video now on what a Capricorn's like. But your description was pretty spot on. I'm definitely into athletics, and yeah, definitely.
Isn't that great? And I love how you've combined the psychology with astrology. It really is a perfect blend. Why don't you explain why that's a perfect blend?
Well, they're best friends. Think about it. So psychology is all about trying to figure out what's wrong with you or trying to figure out what they can help to fix you. And astrology is all about what's right with you. Like it's an explanation for your quirks and why you do certain things. And suddenly there's compassion. Astrology just says, listen, you come in with a stupid package, everyone did. It's got quirks, it's got bumps, it's got blemishes, and there's an intention. And psychology is trying to figure out what's wrong without having a spiritual or a big picture in view. So what I love about the combination is you get to use the therapeutic tool to actually help people fall in love with themselves rather than figure out what's wrong. Everyone's always focusing on what's wrong.
Yeah. Why is it so hard to love ourselves, do you think?
We're retarded. As a species. I mean, we are as a species, if you look at humans, most people don't like humans. I love hearing that. People say, I don't like people. I'm like, what are you? Because humans, by nature, we all look at each other and we go, what did they do? And why did they respond like that? And we all know that feeling. I was just working with a client, and he told me the story about his teenage daughter who pushed his buttons and he threw up all over her, so to speak. And then he looked over at her and saw her face, and he was like, what did I just do? And there was no free will button for him. And that's human nature at its worst. And we all do that to our kids. We all do that to our partners. And we all do that to the guy that cuts you off when you're driving in a car and you're kind of retarded. You react, and you're like, who? No matter how many spiritual books or how much yoga you do or how much meditation you do, we have these ridiculous responses. And that's embarrassing. And that's why it's so hard down here. Because by the design of humans, said the astrologer, the nature of humans is that one half of our brain is not functioning with consciousness. It's a right brain function, which is pure, spontaneous, and totally reactive. And then we have a left brain who thinks that they know what's going on, and they make up logical answers. You should be nice, and we should be friendly, and we should talk, and we should be... And those two don't get along. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I have noticed that. It's like we spout off all these wonderful things, and it would be so great if that could happen, but it's not going to. Not for a lot of people.
You know, it's interesting. I have a toddler, and when you look at children, they don't have that sensor yet, so I think you sometimes still get to see the raw side. Do you do any work with children, Deborah?
Yeah, that's, I think, one of my favorite things to do is to work with children for this reason. Because when parents understand the nature of their personalities, the compassion shows up so quickly. It's so funny. My good friend just walked in. I wrote for many years for the BC Parent Magazine a column called Thank Heaven for Little Stars. And the whole column was about understanding your kids when they're born, which then allows you to have permission. So some kids, I did this in a school. This was the funnest thing. I had a school where I had all the kids sitting in the room, and all the water kids were all cuddled up, and they were all quiet. And the air kids kept interrupting and raising their hand and having a million questions. And the earth kids had their little pencils all sharpened. And the fire kids were beating their foot on the ground, wanting to have recess already. And I described to all the kids, listen to the water kids, you guys get your feelings hurt, and you just want things to be right. And then the air kids raises his hand. He goes, excuse me, why do turtles, this was so funny, why do turtles walk on beaches and get laid there? I was like, what? And that was so air. And the teacher was like, this is what he does all the time. And then the earth kids were like, be quiet, don't interrupt. And the fire kids were like tapping their toes. And you get to see live time these personality types show up so young, and kids love it. So one of the kids raised her hand, and she was like, I think my mom's water, because when we moved out of the old house, she cried, and when we got to the new house, she cried. She was like, is that water? And that's how kids see the elements so clearly developed. And yes, kids, mothers understanding their kids, but even more, my biggest dream, which will happen when I grow up, is to teach kids this language.
Well, we're about to go to a break very shortly, so let's keep that in mind, because that's a wonderful story. And I know, Violet, you can relate to that with your own son, your son is how old?
3.
He's 3 years old, yeah. So stick around. Don't go away. We're going to come back with both of these wonderful ladies, and you're going to want to hear more of this. I guarantee you. Be right back.
We're having a break.
Heck no. We're just getting warmed up. FrankieSense and more will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
Do you think engaging in small talk with prospective clients before business negotiations is a good idea? A new study from Nova Consulting Group suggests that it all depends on whether you are male or female. The study found that a little chatter by female professionals before a meeting will generally produce a positive image, but not always positive results. However, male professionals who begin negotiations with a little small talk usually glean favorable returns. This is because there is a preconception that women are already expected to be more communicative than men. And when a man makes small talk, he is perceived as friendlier and likable. But beware that babblery or gossip will only get you into trouble.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
The American Journal of Cardiology reported that heart attacks rose as the stock market crashed. Researchers at Duke University found that when the stock market took a dive, heart attacks increased steadily for people that they were monitoring. In these current uncertain economic times, we need to focus on exercise and stress relief instead of the things that we cannot control and that cause stress. Harvard Medical School offers tips to minimize your stress level. They are: get enough sleep, learn relaxation techniques, learn time management skills, confront stressful situations head on, nurture yourself, and be sure to exercise. Physical activity alleviates stress and reduces your risk of becoming depressed. It is beneficial for your overall health. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond, keeping you healthy, happy, and fit.
Did it work for us?
Thanks for sticking around. We're back with Violet and we're back with Debra Silverman, and we're just so happy that you're back with us too. Just before we went to break, Debra was telling a story about, she was in a school and she was, talking to these school kids, and she was describing the air and the fire and the water and the earth signs to them and how they reacted. And very often as adults, when we get into relationships, sometimes the very first thing somebody will say, well, what sign are you? Because they think that they know all about you then. How true or untrue is that, Debra?
Well, there's truth to it. Astrologically, you really are your sun sign. It's not as simple as just your sun sign, because there's 9 other planets that no one ever talks about because they're not as easy to discern. You always know where the sun is. It moves 1 degree a day around the heavens, and so we know that on June 1st every year the sun will be in Gemini, or January 1st every year the sun's in Capricorn. But you don't know where the moon will be unless you look it up. So the sun sign is really relevant. It's easy to identify, but sometimes people don't relate to their sun sign and they disregard astrology because of it. And honestly, it is a science. And so you are your sun sign. It is the most predominant influence. It definitely has a huge, as you can imagine, our planet, everything points to the sun. All plants lean to the sun. You decide what time to go to bed and get up because of the sun, and what to wear every day because of the sun. It's a dominating force. And don't disregard the moon. She's over there in the dark going, I have your emotional body. And that's what I think makes us so retarded. It's probably a politically incorrect word, but we are we're emotional wrecks. I mean, everyone on this planet has a secret emotional realm where they're basically a little screwed up, and they have addictions and they have fears and they don't like this, and that's the place where we don't get to discuss, because you have to know your birth date, time, and place to really get to where your moon is.
That little boy that talked about the turtle, he was an air sign, right? He was a Gemini?
Totally.
Yeah.
He was a Libra. He was a Libra. And that was what was so funny is the Libra, you would think Libras, when I did that school, all the air signs, of course, interrupt, and they raise their hands, and they have these ridiculous random questions. But Libras are scientists, and they are the most bizarre people.
I know. I live with one. But it was so funny because, oftentimes as a Gemini, I have, 10 conversations going on in my head, and sometimes they're with real people, and I'll start a conversation in the middle of a thought, and people go, what the hell are you talking about? And I expect them to catch up. Now, sometimes when I talk with another Gemini, they get it right away, and I don't have to explain anything. But with other people, I do. And is that kind of common?
Room number. That is very common. And I think what it is that there are, first of all, you can't just do the Gemini, but yes, air people talk cryptic. Like we can do one sentence, like we can look at each other and track each other. That's for sure. Water people don't use words. They'd rather not talk at all. That's Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. They have a telepathic thing. Earth people are, and that's Capricorn, Violet. Earth people are like, be practical, show me the results, talk to me, bring me a memo, and let's get this written down. And fire people are just, they're screaming and yelling, getting all excited and going, into, let's go for a run. Do we have to talk about all this?
Or fire people, don't they just tell you what to do?
Yes. That would be definitely a yes.
I have to assume you're both Geminis. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
What made you say that?
I can just tell by the kind of the sense and the energy and the constant banter. And normally I am somewhat talkative, and I'm like, wow, I don't really know how to even break in here.
Exactly. See, that's what's so helpful about astrology is you may have, like people listening, you may have a kid who's air, and they talk over you, and they overdo their communication, and it gets you so annoyed, and you can't get in, as you just described, Violet. And then there's the other kids that don't talk at all, that they sit in their bedroom, and they want to be left alone, they want to do their video games, and it really bugs them when you keep asking them, tell me what's going on, and what do you, like I really learned that watching different kids be raised, that you can't do the same patterns, and that's why astrology is so helpful.
That is. Boy, so it's almost like you get a secret key to them.
Exactly. It's like a code. And once you break in,
your decoder ring. I love
especially with kids. Yeah, it's like the gift of why I love working with teenagers, and why I work so well with them is once you acknowledge their reality, and you don't dismiss it and say you've got to talk more, or you got to stop playing video games, or once you go into rapport on their turf and their land, and you know their language, there's such relief. All of us feel that. We all just are longing to be seen. Like, tell me you understand me, and then all of a sudden I feel so much better.
What sign is your sun, Violet?
Capricorn as well. But
he's a Capricorn as well.
He falls at the beginning of the month, and I'm all the way at the cusp for Aquarius. So he's January 4th, and I'm the 19th. So I get to see, he definitely has some interesting sides to him where he definitely has, I think, a bit of fire where he never wants to sit still. But at the same time, he's also if he's doing X activity and that's the X activity he has chosen, he needs to stay in that activity and nobody's going to tell him otherwise, which I think is very Capricorn.
Totally. It's Earth people. All Earth people. Think about moving a tree or a rock. No. Think about watching... Think about watching air change its mind. The bird goes this way. The bird. All you have to do is just distract the kid when they're air, and they'd love it. Earth people are no. We said this. You're doing it. Stick to it. And so, how do you deal with it? Well, that's why Capricorn. So, do you relate more to Capricorn or to Aquarius?
I'm definitely, I think, split 50-50 because I'm creative on one side. Like I write songs and I'm a singer, which I think is definitely not on the Capricorn side of things. And then on the Capricorn side of things, I've always, when I am in a professional career, I'm really disciplined and dedicated and to what I'm doing.
You're a runner too. That's pretty disciplined too.
Yeah.
That's so Capricorn. Oh my God. Earth people. So Earth people love discipline. Air people don't even know how to spell the word. They're like, why are we even talking about this? I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Don't tell me what to do. And it's so important because otherwise we get mad at ourselves. Like Capricorns get mad when they don't stick to their routine. Air people, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libras, they don't have a routine. They do it exactly what they want, and they love when everything goes off.
Don't anybody tell us what to do.
Yeah. There's a club called Don't Tell Me What to Do.
Yeah. If you take it to a child, though, like if you change the routine on a Capricorn child, they totally melt down.
Exactly right.
Total meltdown. Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry. No,
you go ahead.
I was just going to ask you about being on the cusp. How much does that?
Good question.
I have a child. He's February 18th is his birthday. So he's a little bit of Aquarius, I get, and Pisces. So where is he?
Well, this is where astrology, you have to call an astrologer because every year, like for example, this year's the leap year. So it goes off one day. The whole system goes off one day. So every year is different, and that's why it's required to look at an astrologer. It's so funny because my good friend who just walked in who has 8 children, it's unbelievable, I got to watch her raise her kids, and you see the different personality types. And I can remember one of her sons had water, and he always wanted to go in his room and didn't want to talk. And if she went in there to interrupt him, that would have been the worst thing you could do. Whereas another kid has air, and all they want to do is talk. If you don't go in the room and talk to them, they're going to feel abandoned. And it's so important to know the different styles because what happens when we impose our will, especially on kids, by the time they're teenagers, they become rebellious because they're so pissed off for us trying to impose the controlling mom, wanting it to be my way. Well, you don't do that with a fire kid. All they're going to do is get louder. And you've got to match fire people. When there's a fiery kid around who's pissy, you got to match their fire with your fire. You got to stand up and scream and get pissed off. If you don't, they'll control the household. So my theory is that kids come into people's lives because they are actually here to stalk you to learn something. And God was not playing with dice, as Einstein said. You've ended up with this kid. That kid traveled great distances to find you. And it's a soulmate of sorts, for good or for bad. And they've come to teach you something very specific. So don't underestimate the child's value as far as teaching you either patience or loudness or going fast. We have children because God gave us this gift. It's not a free will zone. People think they're choosing their parents and all that stuff. No, there's assignments. Like, really, I love when they tell me I chose my parents. They gave me a list of these Jewish parents in Detroit, and I picked them. No, I was on drugs, and they were assigned to me, and I probably just said they're cute. Who knew? So you have karmic agreements, and you have assignments, and you're here to learn. That's the only thing I've learned after almost 40 years. We have assignments, and astrologers can look at a chart in no uncertain terms and say to you, this was your assignment. Here's what you came to learn, and this kid came in to teach you this. And sometimes you have really good karma with kids, and they're so easy to be with. And some kids, someone was just telling me her story of flying to Hawaii with a kid for 5 hours crying. Some kids come in, and they're just miserable right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you can't change it. And the mom feels guilty, like, why is my kid... Then the next kid comes and smiles and is goofy. And so you're like, you didn't do anything different. These are the karmic agreements. And these are the patterns they've come in with. Now the question is, who's got the cryptic decoder?
Yeah,
figure out.
yeah.
It's
Quick, call
so
Debra
vague.
Silverman.
Yes, and that's why I've just opened up and now we've closed the door to teach astrology this next 3 months. I'm now teaching, and it just overwhelmed me how many people signed up, because the class, when you finish, you really do learn in a concrete way, and very simply, what is my karma? What's my personality type, and how do I fall in love with the fate? Because you can't argue with who they gave you. Ha ha. You end up with your kids, you end up with the dog, you end up with your mom. Like, try arguing with fate. Ha ha. They're not even listening to you.
You wrote, I just want to get this in, and we're going to come back at the end, and everybody's going to talk again, because next after this next breakthrough that's coming up, I want to talk to Violet for a few minutes. But you wrote a book called The Missing Element, Inspiring Compassion for the Human Condition. I mean, that just tells you where your heart's at. Just the name of that book.
I feel bad for us. I mean, I hear too many stories all day where people really are doing their best, but they're just, it's so funny. I was just reading all the applications for the school, and how many people say the same thing? I criticize myself internally. I don't have the get up and go. I get stuck on the couch and I eat too much. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here. How many times have I heard this? I don't know what my purpose is. So
everybody.
That's, you know what? It's not true. You do know why you're here, and you can get off the couch. But we've gotten ourselves so unconscious. There's no class. They should have taught in school. In Harry Potter school, they do this. But I don't know why Harry Potter didn't come to our school. They should have taught a magic class. And it should have said, listen, kids, you're going to make so many mistakes. You're going to get addicted. You're going to get fat. You're going to get your heart broken. You're going to feel like you're so miserable. You're going to have this mean little guy in your head saying all kinds of mean things. He's so unfriendly, that guy. And he works in the middle of the night. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
He just keeps talking. Who is he? Mr. Gremlin.
So mean.
So once your awareness is on, and this is what should be taught in the schools, like, okay, kids, look, you are screwed up. Hate to hurt your feelings, but you're screwed up because you're human, not your parents' fault. You chose to be in a body, and now the question is, what did you sign up for?
Wow. You know what? We're about to go to a break, but it's a really good place to stop. What did you sign up for? Ask yourself that during the break. Who are you? What did you sign up for? Yeah. We'll talk about that more. When we come back, we're going to meet Violet Alexandre.
Let's see if the three of us, including Violet, can tell us, what do you think you signed up for? Like, while we're on the break, let's all three think about it.
Yeah. Good. I like it. Here we go.
We're just getting warmed up. FrankieSense and more will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
Did you hear about the hound dog that participated in a 13-mile race in Elkmont, Alabama? According to Runner's World, the 2.5-year-old hound dog named Ludivine was just horb-gorbling in her backyard when she heard the runners lining up for the trackless train trek half marathon in the distance. Somehow she found her way to the starting line and began sprinting alongside the other runners. According to Keith Henry, the winner of the race, Ludivine cut in front of him and the other runners several times. They had to be careful not to trip over the pooch. As it turned out, Ludivine crossed the finish line in 7th place with a time of 1 hour and 33 minutes. According to her owner, that was a pretty impressive showing for a normally Schaberlacher dog. Schaberlacher is another word for lazy.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's words you never heard.
Autumn is a time for hay rides, carving pumpkins, and making scarecrows, or as the Scottish call them, tatty-doolies. Pumpkin patches, apple trees, and heaps of fallen leaves are a few images that come to mind when you think of autumn, including gossamer. That's the fine, filmy cobweb seen covering the grass or tops of bushes. Autumn is a good time for horb-gorbling or puttering around the yard, watching izzles. Those are the particles that float upwards from the chimneys. Oktoberfest is a German tradition that has been embraced by Americans in the fall. In Germany, true Oktoberfest hails only from the breweries located within the Munich city limits. All other events must be dubbed Oktoberfest style.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my new app, Too Funny for Words.
And we're back. And did you think about what you signed up for when you were on break? Well, keep that thought. Right now we're going to meet Violet Alexandre. And if you are a fan of the Good Radio Network, you may remember that we first met Violet on my show, I Changed the World. Well, she's back. And for those of you who don't know about her, Violet is a seasoned sales and marketing professional. She's had 15 years of business development success in companies ranging from Fortune 500 multinationals to small, struggling startups. She's a founder of RunRaegis, a safety-first fitness app. You might remember it as Run Safe. And when she's not knee-deep in zany startup life, she's also a singer-songwriter. We did play her song and let her sing it. And she is a very proud mom. Violet, welcome back.
Thank you, Frankie.
Thank you so much for reaching back out and telling us about the app. How has it changed? Well, first of all, tell us what it is.
Sure. So this all came from a personal experience when I first moved to Boulder. Basically, I slipped on some black ice when I was running with my son in the running stroller, and it was a pretty bad experience where he almost fell into the frozen Boulder Creek. Yeah,
and it's scary.
And you know where, Debra. So there's no guardrails on the side at certain parts of the path. So anyway, I'm frantically trying to reach my husband, and I'm new to the area. And I realize after I get him on the phone that, honestly, there's nothing he can do to help me because I can't even explain how to get to me. So I ran home, and my son, this is kind of funny. My son never even woke up. But the experience, and this is probably pretty Capricorn oriented. The experience made me want to do something so that could never happen again. So my husband is a techie, and together we ended up building an app that combines fitness and safety in one. And it's called RunRaegis because, and a lot of people probably don't know this, but Aegis is the name of Zeus's shield, so shield for protection.
Oh, gotcha.
So RunRaegis. So the idea of having protection when you're out running, and the whole idea just came from the fact that I had this terrible experience. And honestly, I'm an empowered woman that wants to go out running and doesn't want to feel like I'm in danger. And so that experience made me feel I needed to do something so that I could feel that way again.
Why did you change the name from Run Safe to RunRaegis? Is there something new in the app?
So the app has a lot of new safety features.
Beautiful.
And especially in terms of the ability for your loved ones to actually do something for you when you're in danger. So there's tons of safety apps out on the market. This is, an app focused on fitness and safety combined. But the big thing is, safety apps, they typically send a notification to your contacts. But then what good is that? They're not with you. And so we've got two ways that your contacts can help you now. They have the ability to be connected to your 911. So if let's say you're sitting in Boulder and your safety contact is in Philadelphia, that person in Philadelphia can get you help in Boulder because our app connects you to their 911. And then the other thing that is really powerful is in the event of an emergency, you can geoblast your safety profile to everyone in a close radius of the emergency that's on the network. So these are two new exciting features of it. But honestly, the rename had a lot to do with a more inclusive brand. And, previously we were really feminine oriented, and it was very like safety and protection. The brand is supposed to be more powerful and less gender specific because we found that, we have men that use this too. There's lots of men whose wives are concerned about them that go out on long, ultra runs. And
right. Yeah.
So we wanted to open it up so that it was more inclusive of everybody.
I go out in my backyard, and if I'm not back in a certain time, my husband goes out looking for me. He thinks I fell down and broke my leg or something. It's pretty funny with the dog. I love this app. I really do. I don't know if you're actually seeing it yet, but you download this app to your phone and you put in your contacts, and whoever it is that you think will help you at any given time. And then you go out for your run and you're by yourself or with your child. And if something had happened to Violet, she would have been able to, the phone would have alerted her husband, even if she couldn't. And there's GPS so they can find her.
Yep.
It's just such a brilliant idea.
And the other thing the scenario you just walked me through, when you start activities, you set a time frame. So if you're going to be gone for 30 minutes, you send a notification, your husband gets it, he knows that you're fine, he can watch you real time. And then when you're back, it tells him you're back safe. But if you're not back in the time frame that you've set, then he gets an alert to check on you. So he doesn't have to be running out to check on you without knowing.
Provocation.
He'll already know, right? So you'll find, and this is what I found, is, after my husband built the app for me, I did a ton of testing, and he just got addicted to being able to have that sense, that peace of mind.
Security, yeah.
Yeah. And so if it would be broken because he was fixing something, it would be like he'd be nagging me even more because he was so used to having that extra peace of mind.
I absolutely love it.
So
what do you think of it, Deborah?
This is so Capricorn. I'm listening to this going, this is 100% Capricorn. Let's nail it down. Let's make sure we're safe. Let's be practical. Let's make some money on this. Let's make sure everybody gets value for it. And let's make sure it's really well done.
And what's your husband, Violet? What sign is he?
What's August? I don't even know. August 22nd.
He is on the cusp like you are. So he's right between Leo and Virgo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably Leo.
I know we're very different. I would say that the reason we make really good business partners is because we just have completely opposite skill sets.
Right.
Well, the Virgo would make him very perfectionist, but the Leo would make him
inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the reason we have really good sex is because it's so... I was hoping you were going to say that. Yeah, because you're a team sport. So you're doing all the practical and the details, and fire people get really excited, inspired, and they come up with all ideas, and Capricorn nail things down. That's such a great example of, one, team sports. I love relationship. It's one of my favorite things to work with is watching people's dynamics and seeing how they can support each other. But then, two, that you took your dream and brought it into form is so noteworthy. Like, how cool, and what a great practical thing. You took an accident. This is life. You took a really hard story, and you turned it positive. So we never answered our question of what did we come here to do?
Yeah, I was thinking about that on the break, and I'm like, wow, this is a tough question. And, my honest truth would be I really like to help people. And when I mean people, I like to help people that are close to me. So, like, for instance, I like to help my husband. He is an inspired person who loves to build all sorts of different things, and he has a different idea every other day. And I'm a person that likes to make things happen. Yeah. So I have found in my life that I've partnered up with people on a very regular basis professionally that I enjoy helping. So I know that's a strange thing to say in terms of like, why would you do business to help people? But that's, I think, my answer.
Totally makes sense. What about yours with our
Frankie? I've got two answers because one is I like to help people embrace change because I love change and so many people fear it. But there's another one that says I'm here to learn to love myself because it's so difficult.
Wow. How are you doing?
Getting there.
Yeah.
I at least I know, I can see it now. And so, that's half of the battle is to hear it and see it and kind of figure stuff out. But the more I'm quiet, the easier it's getting. So, yeah, absolutely. The change part's pretty good. The change part's easy. That works. What about you?
Mine is just definitely bring a language because it's funny how we're all wanting to help people. I'm a healer for sure. That was one of the reasons they sent me here, and that came really young, being able to change people's internal world by soothing and healing. And then also a translator. I can take those woo-woo things and bring them down into English. That's one of my specialties is speaking English. Yeah, because astrology is such an abstract, and all this New Age stuff with everything from chakras to past lives to dream time to dead people. And I've become fascinated, but I think my gift this life is bringing it into English and translating it so it's not woo-woo, but it's actually applicable and real.
Right. I love it. You know, I'm a metaphysical hypnotherapist, and I do past life regression. And I just, you know, I took the course because it interests me, not because I really want to do it, but I got a master's in it. You know, I mean, it's just the way it is. And I'm sure you're a professional student too. I just love learning. You like to learn new things just because you can.
So much fun.
Yeah. Isn't that great? So Violet has super graciously and generously offered a free 3-month trial to the full-on version of RunRaegis. And all you need to do is go to either www.thegoodradionetwork.com into the blog, and the instructions are there, or go to http://runraegis.com, which is RAEIGIS, which I always get wrong, /welcome, and put in FrankieSense as your promo code, and you can download it to your phone right away. So either works, and we'll make sure you remember that to do that. But I signed up, and it was so much fun. I did it just before the show started, and it's now on my phone, and I got my contacts in there, the ones I think will answer, and my kids, for sure, the ones who are really addicted to their technology. And so if something happens, and I know that they're going to come looking for me.
Everyone addicted to their technology?
I got Gemini children, twins. So yeah, they're definitely addicted to their technology.
I don't think there's a human. I don't know. It's like someone told me yesterday of someone that didn't have the internet at her house, and I was like, what?
Yeah, my husband doesn't have a cell phone. He has a work one, but he doesn't have a personal one.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't want it. Yeah,
impressive.
I couldn't live without it.
And so how do you communicate with him?
Through the day? I could text him on his work phone during a day, but I don't need to do that really. He's busy and I'm busy. So I can get him if I need to. I can call, there's a phone, but he just doesn't. We're going to go to break in 30 seconds here. How addicted are you guys to your technology? Listeners, Violet, Debra.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How addicted are you?
We did build an app.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When we come back, I want to talk about a scenario that happened and see what you guys think about this. And it would be interesting to see if we could figure out what the parents were. Be curious. Yeah. Anyway, stick around. We're coming right back.
Okay,
and you're not going to want to miss one second of the action.
No, we're just getting warmed up. FrankieSense and more will be right back after we pay the bills.
Homeschooling? Have questions? Get your pen and paper ready. It's the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Fridays at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com. After a handsome blue-eyed Texan fell in love with Vivian at the Victoria Station in London, she found herself at DFW Airport with a tiny suitcase and a snazzy little duffel bag. Well, 25 years later, she is now happily married to that blue-eyed cowboy. They have 4 grown children ages 24 to 18 who became willing guinea pigs when she unwittingly stumbled upon the world of homeschooling. Wildflower Academy flourished for 15 years. They survived and thrived, and you can too. Vivian will be covering a wide range of issues that face homeschoolers. What do you do with kids in the summer? How to set up your one-room schoolhouse? How obedience is paramount? And what to do with those snakes? Plus, you'll be sharing ideas and insights that she gleaned from other homeschoolers. So join us for an engaging hour with the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Friday afternoons at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com.
It's words you never heard.
Did you know that having one hand in your pocket is considered arrogant in Turkey? My husband and I felt like goostrum noodles when this was pointed out to us while we were visiting in Istanbul. A goostrum noodle is a foolish person. What is seen as common behavior in one country is frequently considered bad manners or rude in another country. For example, while most Americans sit in the back seat of a taxi, in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Scotland, and the Netherlands, to sit in the back of the cab when the front passenger seat is available is considered rude. In Japan and South Korea, tipping is seen as an insult. And in China and India, it is considered greedy to tear into a gift in front of the giver. What's another word for a person with bad manners? A snurk.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my new app, Too Funny for Words.
And we're back. We're back with Debra Silverman, Violet Alexandre, and I'm your host, Frankie Picasso, and the show is FrankieSense and More, because it only makes sense. Well, I promised a little story, and we asked you before you went on break, how addicted are you to your technology? Well, my husband and I were out to dinner not that long ago, and across from us was a young couple, probably early 30s. They had 2 small children. One was maybe 3-ish, and the other was about 18 months, something like that. And we watched them throughout their meal, and on the whole time, each of the parents were on their technology, on their phones, I don't know, playing games, texting other people, and not once did they pay attention to their children or talk to one another. And
that's awful.
We were astounded. And the same thing happened when we were at the theater. We were at the theater, and we're going to see, I don't know, like some step show. Anyway, we're there, and there's a couple sitting next to us on a date, clearly, both, again, on their technology, texting to other people and not communicating with one another. So is technology taking away human interaction and communication? Why are the people on the phone much more interesting or important than those who are sitting next to you?
Makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Are you really asking that question?
I really am asking that question, because it seems like even when you go to a store and you're sitting there at a store or standing there with merchandise in your hand wanting to pay, if the phone rings, the person on the phone is more important than the person who's ready to give you their money. I mean, I see it all the time.
So true. I just did an interview. You guys probably know Jill Bolte Taylor. She was one of the biggest TED Talks ever done. She had a brain. She was a Harvard-trained brain surgeon who had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the stroke, her awareness came on, and she had the wherewithal to tell herself to call 911, but she was clearly having a major stroke and brought herself, and you've got to watch the video. But we just were talking about this, and she told me the story of how, so she got to the hospital bed. It was the 3rd day there. They said to her, her mom was coming. She couldn't talk. She couldn't really move properly. She was like a little fetal position. It took her 8 years to come back. But what struck me was when the mom walked back in the room, she was in her mid-30s when this happened. Her mom was in her 60s. When her mom came in the room, she knew only that everybody in the room was so excited to see this woman named Gigi. Her mom's nickname is Gigi.
Right.
And she didn't know what Gigi meant. But all she knew was everyone was so excited. And the first thing Gigi did was she looked around, she made eye contact with Jill and saw that Jill was gone. She took the sheets back, got in the bed, held her, and started rocking her. And all Jill knew was, oh, Gigi means feels good. She didn't have words. And I thought that was the antithesis of what happens to us on our planet. Now, we no longer know how to get in the bed and cuddle with someone and say, I've got you. Like, we've lost that emotional, needy vulnerability because we have these funny little devices that become this electronic stuff. It's called the Aquarian Age in astrology, but it's so distant. And when she told that story and everybody went, oh, like you just did?
Yeah.
It's because we starve for contact, but we're too embarrassed to admit it's back to the same thing. The internal dialogue. Who wants to admit that they're lonely?
Right.
Well, when I look at technology and the use of like social media and things like that, I think a lot of times you can have a different personality or you can communicate differently, and so it feels safer to some people. I think it's created almost something somewhat not natural, and sometimes I think our children even lose their social skills as a result.
There's no question. We've lost the touch. Like that story, we've lost the touch. So what is it that keeps us from preventing from wanting to touch? Because we've all been hurt, and none of us know that that's okay. So if we could just have the courage to be emotionally available to the people that we love, boy, that computer stuff, I'm so puzzled by. Because I'm a Gemini. I love Facebook. I think it's like going down the high school hallways, and I say hi to everybody. But then there's the touching. Like where's your best friend that you can sit with and your sweetie and put down your phone. I make myself leave my phone. I go on a diet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you are not taking your phone with you. You're going for a walk, and everyone you need is right here. Bye-bye.
My son will tell me to put my phone down. He'll say, what are you doing? Stop texting. Honest to goodness, he will. He'll look right at me and say, stop doing that.
I don't blame him.
I get the same thing, but like when you're a passenger in the car, I get bored sometimes. I don't, you don't always want to look out the window. I don't know. I have to play a game or do something.
We've lost our ability to be bored. This is exactly the whole point.
Yeah.
We no longer know how to sit in silence. Think of meditators. Think of people in third world countries. Most of life is actually quite boring, to be perfectly honest. And we don't know the value of boring is empty and receiving and being still and being able to entertain ourselves with We've lost it. So I'm not sure it's a bad thing because I don't tend to judge the nature of evolution. Why would we say that, airplanes have really radically changed our lives? Whenever I get on an airplane, I'm always like, is this million trillion ton thing going to get off the ground? Is this machine in my hand going to reach out to my friend in Europe and I'm going to see her face for a minute? Like, we have so surpassed reality, but we don't often come back down to basics.
Right.
So it's so important.
George Jetson, when I was a kid, I loved the Jetsons. I go, I can't wait for that to happen in my life. And it did. So much of it did. So exciting.
We're living George Jetson.
We're living George Jetson. If you don't know who that is, and you're like,
I know.
But George as a therapist, what you really see emotionally is we're all starving. And I loved when Jodie Foster got up and she received one of her awards when she came out and told everybody she was gay. And one of the sentences she said to the whole world is, I'm lonely. And I thought, whoa. Who has the balls? Why do you think we pick up the computer to talk to ourselves or play a game? Our minds need to be entertained because we don't know how to sit still because we've lost the ability to be patient and we've lost the ability to seek calm. We're stimulation monsters. I play this game called, do you guys know about Lumosity?
Yes. I
play it every single day.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm crazy about it. It makes my mind sharp, but I watch myself and I go, here we go, Deb. We're going to, but it's at least the right use of my brain because I'm learning how to use memory and numbers and organizing, and I'm using the muscles in my head so that when I grow up, I won't turn into one of those people that forgets her name.
It's luminosity.com, Violet.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
It's a brain training. Violet?
Oh, I've not heard of it.
It's a great app. It's a 5-minute everyday application of making sure your brain doesn't go sleepy because it's true.
You lose a lot.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if there was an emotional app that every day you did 5 minutes where you learned how to cry and you learned how to laugh and you made sure that you got off the bed and you put the computer down?
Yeah. Oh, don't give it. Well, I don't want my husband listening or we'll be building something else.
Oh, there you
Give
go.
him one more idea.
Well, I interviewed somebody who they just created an app for addicts. So it is an addiction app designed to help them recover from their addictions, and I think it's pretty brilliant. It's gamification at its best, and it's geared to younger people, really, because of the nature of it. But there is a use for technology that is so brilliant, but we also need to talk to real people and touch real people and hug real people and tell them that we love them. Like social media, people they hide behind their computer and they create personalities and avatars and archetypes, that aren't them. They do it because they think people are going to love them. They're not going to love that real fat, ugly person who's sitting behind it, but they are going to love, the picture that they see. And so they can create this person.
Is that really true? Do people really do that?
Yes. Yes, they really do that. And there's no, because I wrote a book on relationships and I did a bunch of studies on people who do online dating because they really do lie about who they are. They put up pictures that aren't themselves. And then they expect that, this person has fallen in love with me now. So now when I actually do meet them, it's going to be okay. But nobody's okay with being a liar and nobody's okay with being duped. So this is, that's where that show Catfish kind of came from. He helps people figure out if they've been duped or not by these, Catfish. Yeah. It's a show. This guy was on online dating, and he thought he was talking to a girl. He was actually talking to her mother. And after I don't know how many months or years even into this relationship, but then when they met, it wasn't even her, and it was Yeah. So he's got a show where people haven't met after like a year or something. He helps them either meet or find out who really is on the other end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, because when we talk about like technology in the bad sense, something that we're trying to do with RunRaegis is bring back community, because we actually have the ability for people to report in dangers that they see. And so the idea is, if you care about other people in the running community, you can report that, hey, there was a suspicious person on the path, or this trail's out. And so you have the ability to be a part of a community where you're trying to help keep everybody else safe. So I think there's also, I mean, obviously there's the flip side with technology where we're too detached, but there's also the way to use it to bring people together.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. We've only got 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask each of you to tell people how they can get in touch with you if they can. And Deborah, you said that now it's closed off, so we can't even take the course because you're full?
Well, we're on a waiting list, so we've got the next course starting in June.
Oh, perfect.
But to talk about community, you really do get to be part of a community of astrology lovers and people really disclosing their open heart. So it's Debra Silverman Astrology, all one word, Debra, Debra Silverman Astrology, and you go on Learn on my homepage, and you'll see the apprenticeship program, and then you just sign up, and we'll let you know everything about it. Yeah, we just sold out within. It was unbelievable.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I didn't know it would happen, but I'm in awe of the magic that keeps on unfolding in the name of the stars.
Well,
Very cool.
Violet, tell people where they can find you.
Sure. So I'm good with Twitter, so you can find me at LV, so capital L and then V Dreamer. And then our website for RunRaegis is www.runraegis, RunRaegis.com.
And do not forget to go and download your free 3-month trial that Violet has graciously and generously offered to us. So thank you again for that, Violet. Really appreciate that. And Deborah, so nice to talk to you again and have you on the show, both of you. I'm glad that you had a good time, and I know I had a great time. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, go and put your name on that waiting list. I can't wait to take that course. I couldn't do it right now because I'm a little bit busy, but yeah, I really, really want to take it. I'm excited. I've always loved astrology, something it's been near and dear to my heart, so I'm really happy.
Okay. Thank you.
Really, thank you so much.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye. So there went the two great ladies of Boulder, Colorado. I love Boulder. Boulder's surrounded by mountains everywhere you look, 360 degrees. It's absolutely an amazing place to live. But now it's even more amazing because you can go to Boulder. And I think you can even maybe take Deborah's course in Hawaii, which would be even neater to see her there. But yeah, this is Frankie Picasso. You're listening to FrankieSense and more. Tune in next week for some more amazing and great guests. I can't wait to see you. Take care. Oh, and you can see me on Mission Unstoppable Radio Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There you go. Take care now. Bye-bye.
See on the beat. Hit Rash Production.
Shit, now you be the one way to turn my world.